Hello, this is Anime Addiction, and welcome to another episode of Let's Analyze Death Battle. Today's episode will be the episode called The Battle Between Captain America and Batman, which relates back to my previous episode of Batman vs. Spider-Man. Now, as I understand it, this particular episode was a reserve episode made by Death Battle and was uploaded due to the fact that the Godzilla vs. Gamera upload had suffered a major hard drive failure, and as such, the expected Epion vs. Tiger Sword episode was therefore delayed. As I also understand it, this was intended to be a prequel to the Spider-Man vs. Batman episode as well. As always, I will be allowing the stars of Death Battle, Boomstick and Wiz, to make the introductions of both characters first before I give my own analysis to what may or may not happen in the Death Battle. And as such, if you haven't seen this Death Battle before, please go to screwattack.com or their channel on YouTube in order to see it so you don't get spoiled. And as always, I'm letting them go first so the viewers don't get to miss or don't get distracted or miss any good details. So, as such, here we go again.
Defending the weak from powerful agents of evil demands a champion who has achieved the peak of human capability, all in the name of justice, and sometimes vengeance.
Batman, the Dark Knight.
And Captain America, the Sentinel of Liberty.
He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle. Throughout the underworld of Gotham City, one name strikes fear into the cold, black hearts of even the most hardened criminals: the Batman.
But becoming a 6-foot flying rat of vengeance comes at a cost. For 8-year-old Bruce Wayne, it was helplessly watching as his parents were gunned down in front of him on the way back from the theater. That poor kid, that opera really must have scarred him.
Bruce's genius-level intellect and physical prowess allowed him to pick up a vast array of skills on his global journey to become the Dark Knight. He became an expert in the art of disguise and a master of every fighting style known to man. He's perfected escape artistry, sword fighting, detective skills, stealth, has a photographic memory, earned 12 master's degrees, is an expert marksman, and is vastly knowledgeable in pressure points.
And we're positive he's not superhuman?
Officially, no, he's not, but he has learned to appear so in the minds of his opponents. Having been trained by the League of Assassins, Batman's greatest weapon is fear.
All it takes is a glimpse of that pointy-eared shadow and criminals start shaking in their boots. He can disappear and reappear in an instant thanks to his mastery of stealth and the high-tech gadgets he keeps in his utility belt. Like his bat claw grappling hook, smoke pellets, tons of different batarangs, and shock gloves.
Hey, don't underestimate the shock gloves. They release a charge powerful enough to penetrate Kevlar and even stop the heart of one of Batman's most powerful enemies, Bane.
But then he restarted it because he's nice like that. Bane later said thank you the only way he knew how. I'm surprised Batty didn't pull something out of the utility belt to stop that one, considering it seems to contain anything Batman could ever need, even shark repellent.
Actually, that's a common misconception. The shark repellent was stored in the helicopter that Robin was flying, not Batman's utility belt.
Oh yeah, because that makes it so much less ridiculous.
Batman also carries explosive gel. A cluster of this substance can be sprayed onto nearly any surface and remotely detonated. Perfect for distractions.
Or, you know, blowing shit up. Tip for criminals: if you know Batman's after you, avoid anything shaped like a bat.
Somebody in here? Something wrong? Nope.
Bruce chose the guise of a bat to project his own fear of the flying mammal onto his enemies. However, that's not the Batsuit's only purpose.
Thanks to some military-grade armor he stole from his own company with Morgan Freeman's permission, the Batsuit is almost completely bulletproof, knife-proof, electricity-proof, punch-proof, dog-proof, and theft-proof.
Inside Batman's cowl is an array of high-tech gear commonly used for listening to police scanners and communicating with allies. But in combat, Batman finds more use in its night, infrared, and ultraviolet vision. Also, its built-in triangulation imaging system, which hacks into the world's cell phones and creates a digital 3D map.
You mean he can see everything I do just because I have a phone?
More or less.
Ask him where I left my keys.
Aside from mass invasion of privacy, Batman's resume includes such accomplishments as dodging Darkseid's virtually unavoidable Omega beams, withstanding the vacuum of space for 24 seconds, and breaking free from a coffin buried 6 feet underground, in a straitjacket, after being deprived of sleep for days, all while having a cocktail of unknown drugs in his system, along with the Joker's latest venom toxin.
What the fuck? Are we positive that we're positive he's not superhuman?
Well, given his line of work, I wouldn't be surprised if he stumbled into a room filled with gamma rays or something like that, but underneath the Batsuit, he is affected by knives and bullets the same as any other mortal man. Even though he usually comes out victorious, his self-confidence occasionally puts him in life-threatening situations he can't escape without help.
Like Bane's thank you spine durability test.
But the Cape Crusader has consistently found a way to survive even the most life-threatening situations.
And Bats has no problem continuously going toe-to-toe with evil in the name of justice. Vengeance.
From this moment on, none of you are safe.
Born to poor Irish immigrants in Manhattan on July 4th, 1920, Stephen Rogers grew up with little money, few friends,
And even fewer muscles. Good God, is that Steve Rogers or Jack Skellington? Somebody get that kid a sandwich.
but his sheer willpower, selflessness, and desire for justice stood out. As those around him left to serve in the Second World War, Rogers was desperate to fight for his country. But due to his lacking physique and health problems, he was turned away from every single military organization, multiple times.
Meanwhile, Hitler was creating a new group of super Nazis with lasers called Hydra.
Desperate to combat this new threat, Uncle Sam began the top-secret Project Rebirth. It looked like Rogers would finally get his chance to be the hero after all, provided he survived an untested, unstable, unprecedented experiment.
After an injection of some mystery juice and tanning in some Vita rays, Rogers lived! And as a plus became a Nazi-annihilating, terrorist-thrashing symbol of freedom, Captain America! America!
The Super Soldier Serum pushed Steve's body to the absolute limit of human physical and mental potential.
A homeless guy sold me a super serum once. I woke up in Danny's a week later without my wallet.
With his new body, Rogers can bench press 1,100 pounds and run a mile in 73 seconds. By comparison, the bench press world record without the aid of a bench shirt is Eric Spoto's 722 pounds, and the fastest mile run belongs to Hisham Garouche of Morocco at 3 minutes 43 seconds. That makes Rogers nearly twice as strong and over 3 times as fast as the most physically fit human beings in the world.
He can even dodge gunfire at point-blank range by, in his own words, seeing faster.
Which is the absolute stupidest way of saying that his brain can process images faster than a normal human.
Putting his new abilities to good use, he's adept in every single form of hand-to-hand combat known to man. That's right, I bet you didn't know that Captain America was a ninja.
Jiu-jitsu? Kung Fu? Krav Maga?
All of the above.
Despite his incredible physical potential, the military initially decided Super Steve was best suited as the US Army poster boy.
That suit looks like it was ripped from a patriotic circus.
It was.
Really? Well, at least he upgraded to suits not made from circus later on.
No, they were too.
What kind of circus would make a costume with Kevlar Nomex and lightweight titanium that's resistant to fire, water, and electric shocks?
Some call it World War II.
Oh, I get it.
But the most iconic aspect of Cap's attire is his famed shield. Composed of proto-adamantium and a mysterious metal from space called vibranium. This one-of-a-kind shield was presented to him personally by none other than the 32nd President of the United States, Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
And like a badass, Cap doesn't just use his shield for defending himself. He hurls that motherfucker at just about anything that moves.
The combination of the two metals allows the shield to absorb and reflect practically all kinetic energy and thus ricochet off multiple targets with only minor loss in velocity. Captain America utilizes this in combination with his super soldier mind to predict and calculate the shield's trajectory so that it always ends up back in hand, no matter how many targets it has struck.
Cap's shield can reflect anything from bullets to lasers, decapitate vampires, and stop a blow from Thor's hammer. And if you recall, Mjolnir doesn't fuck around. This giant frisbee of freedom is so cool, even Superman wants one.
Yes, I think it works.
But it's not unstoppable. It's been damaged and even destroyed its fair share of times over the years, but only by cosmic or reality-warping powers.
Luckily, Mr. America doesn't rely only on his shield.
He's boxed Thor to a standstill, was deemed worthy to wield Mjolnir, and has even managed to incapacitate the Hulk with his knowledge of pressure points.
Wait, go back to that second one! Did this guy just kick the Hulk in the dick? You've gotta be a real man to give the Green Goliath a nut check. I mean, that's the fastest way to piss off a dude, and who don't we like when they're angry? Balls of steel right there. Great big, eagle-shaped freedom balls of steel.
And to top everything off, not many superheroes can claim to have defeated the fearsome foursome of crack, weed, ice, and Miss Fix, the literal personifications of actual street drugs.
So you're telling me he's preaching an anti-drug message, knowing that drugs are the entire reason he became awesome?
I guess we can add hypocrite to his list of aliases. Despite being a physically perfect human, Captain America more or less has the same weaknesses as any other man. His patriotic uniform can only protect him so much from stabbing weapons.
And sniper bullets. God knows he gets killed pretty good by those. Ah! Weapons! My only weakness! How did you... No.
Even in the face of death, Captain America always stands for what the United States needs.
And sometimes that's serving Hitler an American-sized knuckle sandwich.
Who are you supposed to be?
Captain America.
Well, I have to admit that was a lot more informative than the last time that we heard about the analysis over Batman. And I see that they've added a couple of extra items that he didn't have in his fight against Spider-Man. Now, as always, let's go over both those combatants first and give my own analysis before we get to the death battle. Now, once again, let's start with Batman. Now, we've already gone over Batman's abilities, his weapons, and his skills in the last battle he had with Spider-Man, so we'll just go over the main points. We know that he's just a human being with no superpowers, but he has trained his body to be at its absolute best, the peak of human perfection, or at least as close as he can get to it. We know that he has a mastery over many, if not all, the martial arts known to man, and he's a brilliant detective. He's able to figure out clues and weaknesses of his opponents during battle and bring up countermeasures in order to defeat them. And he's also got an arsenal of weaponry sometimes above and beyond that of most militaries. Now, as you know, his strongest point was his stealth and his ability to take his opponents by surprise, and that didn't quite work out with Spider-Man due to his spider sense, but against Captain America, he just might be able to pull out a win with this one. Now, Captain America, also known as the Star-Spangled Avenger, is also considered to be just a normal human with no superpowers, although the analysis show that he is pretty much as far as the human being can actually go without having to be considered over-the-top superhuman, even though I myself thought those abilities of being twice as strong and 3 times as fast as the fastest and strongest person is kind of pushing the envelope toward disbelief, in my opinion anyways. Although he also has going for him that he knows quite a bit of martial arts himself, although I wouldn't say not to the greater extent that Batman has. He has the indestructible shield, which has served him well over the years, and his tenacity and the ability to push himself beyond what is even considered humanly possible is an inspiration to all Americans. Now, as to his matchup against Batman, well, I think that because he only has more or less just the shield to depend on, as well as his acrobatics and his own fighting skills, I think he might just be at a more greater disadvantage than Batman was against Spider-Man. Now, as to who's going to win this death battle, well, I have a very sneaky suspicion that Batman's going to take this one. Not only because of his loss to Spider-Man, but also because he seems to have a little more going than Cap does. In this case, however, he'll be able to use his stealth and surprise much better than he used to with Spider-Man, since Captain America does not have any spider sense or any early warning to tell him where Batman will be and what to expect. So, if let's see if I'm right, and we're going to go start up this death battle. So, Boomstick and Wizard, you're up!
Alright, the combatants are set. Let's end this debate once and for all.
It's time for a death battle!
Fight!
Let's finish this! Hyper!
I pledge allegiance to the Cap, hanging miserably from the light post.
Captain America did have the endurance and power advantage, and Batman himself has admitted he could lose a hand-to-hand match against him. But there's a big difference between could and would.
I could survive the fall out of an airplane, but I wouldn't bet on it. Unless you're doing it, Wiz, you should totally try it. $5 if you make it.
You're an idiot, Boomstick. Also, the fact is, Batman is more than a boxer. His stealth and disarming skills allowed him to turn the fight in his favor.
Not to mention the gadgets. Just because Cap could see faster doesn't mean he could see hard enough to spot bats through a solid wall of smoke.
Batman also regularly battles and sneaks around super beings far above your average laser Nazi.
If he can ninja around Superman's super hearing, there's no reason he can't do the same to Captain America.
And of course, Batman has more knowledge about pressure points and fighting styles because he's mastered all of them rather than simply being adept, helping him incapacitate and finish off the Star-Spangled Soldier.
Captain America just couldn't hang in there.
The winner is Batman.
Well, I can't say that I didn't see that coming, because I did, and out of all the death battles I've seen, this was one of the more disappointing ones. Now, before we go into the final analysis, there are a few points that I'd like to make clear to those who are watching this reaction video. First off, we did see that Batman used some different weapons than what he used with Spider-Man. And I'm guessing that a lot of the fans are shouting out, well, why didn't he use them against Spider-Man? It would have changed the battle, right? Well, my answer to that question, to that point is No, they wouldn't, and here's the reason why. First of all, let's all start off with the shock gloves. Now, we've already seen Batman taser Spider-Man in their death battle using just the electrode network in his bat suit, so you think that the shock gloves would give him a far bigger jolt, right? Well, considering that Spider-Man fights a villain named Electro very frequently, and he takes even greater shocks from him than from any other machinery, you kind of think that Spidey's kind of used to that sort of thing, so the end result would be, no, I don't think that the shock gloves would make that much of a difference. But what about the night vision goggles? They should have helped, right? Well, considering that he tried to blindside Spider-Man in the dark and he couldn't do it because of that spider sense, whether or not Batman can see in the dark or not, really doesn't matter, now would it? And finally, how about the exploding gel? Now, would that have made any difference? Considering that we saw Spider-Man take several of Batman's exploding batarangs and still get up afterwards, kind of explains how futile it would be to use something that he could not only dodge with ease, but his spider sense would alert him to the presence of anyway. Now, the Captain America versus Batman death battle, you saw Batman use pressure points in order to paralyze his opponent, as well as use his superior martial arts to overcome Captain America's own fighting skills. Now, you're probably asking, well, why didn't that work with Spider-Man, or why didn't he try using that? Well, here's the answer for that one as well. Now, some people don't realize just how hard it is to use pressure points in a battle, even for an expert like Batman. And in the case of his fight against Captain America, as you can see, Batman needed to distract and catch Captain America off guard first before he could try to use the pressure points. Now, in Spider-Man's case, that would be near impossible due to his superior speed, agility, durability, and his spider sense. And as for the question of Batman knowing and mastered every known martial arts known to man, well, you do remember what Wiz said about Spider-Man's fighting style, right?
His unique martial art, the Way of the Spider, utilizes the spider sense to its fullest. Spider-Man can go toe-to-toe with the most advanced masters of combat, even while blindfolded.
No wonder other superheroes don't like this guy. I mean, the friggin' spider sense does everything for him.
That's right. The Way of the Spider is unique only to Spider-Man, and therefore Batman would not know of it. And remember back to the first rule of Death Battle, fighters will not have any prior knowledge of each other before the fight. So therefore, Spider-Man's Way of the Spider, along with his spider sense, gave him the edge in order to counter Batman's physical abilities, as well as his skill in every other known martial art in the world. Now that we've gotten all that out of the way, you're probably wondering what I think of the death battle against Batman and Captain America. And you're wondering, do I agree or disagree with the final analysis? To be perfectly honest, I'm saying both yes and no to this particular death battle, and here's the reason why. Now, I'm saying yes to the statistics that they gave against Batman and Captain America and the reasons why they would win. However, I have quite a few problems with the death battle itself. Now, here's the first problem that I came across. Can somebody tell me how Batman managed to knock a person up more than 30 feet? After all, he's supposed to be at the peak of human perfection, or as close as he can to it, but there is no possible way he could knock Captain America up that high just from a standing hit. Armor or no armor, Captain America's shield has been known to even cut through a tank. So a hit from behind like that should have at least given Batman some spinal cord injuries or at least a major concussion. And yet Batman seemed to shrug it off as if it was nothing. So we have to question that as well.
Also, the fact is, Batman is more than a boxer. Batman also regularly battles and sneaks around super beings far above your average laser Nazi.
This time around, I'm calling you out, Wiz. Yes, I admit that Batman is more than just a boxer, but so is Captain America. Just because he's only adept at all other martial arts doesn't mean he doesn't know how to use them. Furthermore, the death battle itself only showcased his boxing skills, and that's it, and I find that to be highly biased. And as for your second statement, well, you have heard of the Avengers, right? And Captain America regularly goes up against superpowered beings, aliens, robots, and whatnot on the pretty much the same frequency as Batman does as well. So you can't just simply say that Batman goes up against all these kinds of opponents while Captain America only had to deal with laser-wielding Nazis. Now, in the final analysis, due to the differences in weaponry and skills alone, I would say that the two of them are actually closer in overall power than one might think, and I would only give the edge toward Batman due to the fact that he has more weaponry and more options than Captain America, but only by about 55% versus 45%. That would be my estimate as to how many of the probability of Batman winning over Captain America. And the only problem I have with, the biggest problem that I have with the death battle itself is because they showcased all of Batman's ability, but not as much for Captain America. Now, the death battle by itself wasn't bad. In fact, it was pretty decent. However, it had a kind of rushed feeling to it, and I felt that it could have been made better if the makers had reviewed the death battle and saw what I saw and perhaps edited and made the battle more fuller. Furthermore, since this death battle came out after Batman's defeat at the hands of Spider-Man, many viewers feel that the screw attack and death battle had bent to the whims of the angry Batman fans and made this death battle in order to pacify them. Well, I really don't believe that at all. I truly am of the notion that death battle is not a popularity contest, and the outcome of each death battle is due to the analysis and research done by the death battle teams, and I have to give them great props for sticking to those guns. Now, in the end, the death battle between Batman and Captain America was not the best of the death battles, but it wasn't, of course, the worst of them. It's just that I felt that the death battle itself needed more work before it was released to the YouTube and Screw Attack. So that's my opinion on this death battle, and I hope that the viewers either agree or disagree. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them here, and I will be seeing you again at the next death battle that I decide to put in an analysis for. Until then, thank you very much.